Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and this is an all-new motorcycle from Can-Am, the three-wheel and four-wheel specialists from BRP out of Canada. They have re-entered the two-wheel game, and they've got two electric motorcycles offered to us here in the States, and those in Canada, and probably over in Europe as well, I'd have to check. But this is the dual sport offering. They also make more of a street-oriented model called the Pulse. This is the Origin. Comes with the 1821 kind of dual sport classic tire setup, or really more adventure bike. Did I say dual sport earlier? This is more of an adventure bike. And it is all electric. It's running a proprietary motor by Rotax and Can-Am. It's got an 8.9 kilowatt hour battery pack on it. And this motor is placed right here within the frame. The battery is actually part of the frame as well in order to minimize weight. You see the electric motor's right up in there, and then you have an enclosed chain case here, so no dirty chain situation, a little bit quieter. We're gonna see that out on trail here today. You've got pretty standard adventure bike kind of style ergonomics. You're quite upright. This one is the 73 model, which costs an extra $2,000, but gets you some special styling and some special accessories, such as this little windshield, and I think this back cowl as well. It offers upgradability with the Link system, L-I-N-Q, so you can put side bags or a tail bag or different windshields on here pretty darn easily. Also, apparently you're able to take this windshield off, which I'm gonna try to do here on camera before we head out because it rattles. And even when you twist this, now it's even looser. Let's see, can I do this super easily? Just first time? Well, I'm gonna wait till I have both my hands free. We got the helmet on. But it's a pretty good bike for riding around town. And we did the DM Commuter MPG test, or range test. We got just over 60 miles, and we did all sorts of mixed riding. So if you're using this bike as kind of a street runaround sort of machine, it's pretty darn fun. However, yes, I did say just over 60 miles in mixed riding. That was with some highway and some city. But if you are going to use it as a classic adventure bike, everybody knows, Can-Am, reviewers, purchasers, everyone is fully aware that this is limited. I myself would prefer an adventure bike with more range. However, apparently this bike is still pretty darn good when you get off-road. So today I put it on the back of the van and I took it out here. We are at a trail called Bailey Canyon, just outside of Lake Arrowhead here in Southern California. I'm going to go up those hills and explore some of the trails around. I think they're more kind of just two-track, sort of car-friendly trails, 4x4 friendly trails, but we're gonna have some fun and we're gonna do genuine adventuring and exploring on this bike. Now, it's not gonna be an explicitly beneficial range test by any means off-road because we're going uphill. We will get a little bit of our range back because this bike does provide regen, but it's only regen at the rear wheel. I don't know how effective and efficient it's going to be coming back down. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm gonna start the video out here. We're gonna explore, ride some trail, and I'm probably gonna wrap up my thoughts with you back on street because this bike does have a lot of merits as kind of a runaround sort of motorcycle. So let me get my gear on and let's head out on the trail. And here we go. Like I said, I've heard good things about the Can-Am Origin out on the dirt. I mean, electric motorcycles really do have an advantage when it comes to dirt riding over gasoline counterparts because they're able to modulate the torque just so precisely with the electric motor. So it will be interesting to see how Can-Am takes its prowess off-road. And I say prowess because they were remarkably proficient in the dirt bike world decades ago, but they have obviously been out of the game for a little while. I can't imagine they would come back without being serious, if you will, and treating it properly. We're in eco mode right now. There are a ton of ride modes here on the Origin. We got eco, rain, normal, sport, off-road, and off-road plus. That eliminates the rear ABS and the traction control. And away we go. Now, I should point out that the tire pressures are set to their kind of street pressures, if you will. And I went back and, I was going to take the windshield off here. You see it? Hear it rattling? No. All right, we already got to go back. But anyway, regarding the pressures, if you were gonna use this bike exclusively off-road, if you were on a trip and you were doing single track or something, definitely air down a little bit. But the way I see it is, okay, maybe you do wanna do a little bit of adventuring and you're gonna be doing some street riding beforehand. You're gonna need all the range you can get. So maybe we should see how it actually handles being inflated to its proper tire pressures. Whoa, this is a big tall bike, that's for sure. It's weird because in some ways it sort of has the feeling of nimbleness of a much smaller, lighter bike. But then you gotta remember, this is like being off-road with a big touring bike or something from a weight standpoint. It's about well, maybe not quite that dramatic, but it's about 420 pounds. Also, I don't believe it has a parking brake. And that is a bit frustrating for a situation like this where it's not exactly flat. All right. Let's see if we can get this windshield off easily. Maybe you need a little screwdriver action to pop this little link thing off. Let's see. There we go, that pops. You just kind of got to pop these things out. I see. And then, does this just come off? It's unlocked. Pull that out. Yeah, okay, that was very easy. That's cool. That's where you can see how the Origin would look like sans windshield. We are leaving here with a full state of charge, 52 miles according to the bike's range estimate. Battery all charged up, and it also gives us a battery temperature gauge, and that is right in the middle. Okay, so Off-Road Plus, that looks like it gives you full power compared to, I wonder if normal off-road mode limits the power a little bit. Let's see. Yep. Normal off-road seems a little bit more like normal ride mode, and then Off-Road Plus a little bit like sport. Okay, so 10 inches of suspension travel, front and rear, fully adjustable rear suspension. Might be a little bit firm for my weight right now, but we're gonna roll with it. Really appreciating that big sponge travel as we come down though. Well, I guess I should reset my mileage too, shouldn't I? We can use the touch screen here, go to statistics. Current ride, we've got 0.3 miles, that's barely anything. And then let's go to trip. What's trip A at? 425, reset trip B. You can do all those controls with the steering wheel as well. You can do all those controls on the handlebar as well. Fairly knobby tires on here. I mean, obviously they're still street legal, so they're not as aggressive as something you'd get on a dirt bike, but I've seen plenty of adventure bikes on the market come with much less aggressive tires, so Can-Am clearly intends you to get out on the road with this, or off the road, I should say. It is a bit uncanny having the kind of slimness and the power of sort of a more of like a dirt bike, but then when you come into the corner, you're still dealing with the inertia of 415 pounds. Another thing I appreciate Can-Am put on the bike is an outside ambient temperature sensor. So 77 degrees Fahrenheit right now. Let's see what it's like once we get up here in elevation. I was hoping for it to be a little bit quieter from the drive motor. And obviously it's much quieter than an internal combustion bike. But if you watch Fort Nine's review on the Origin, he makes it sound like you're off-roading in perfect silence, and you're not. There's definitely some noise here, but admittedly, it is quieter than, I think, probably all the electric motorcycles I've ridden. 47 peak horsepower and 53 pound-feet of torque. Now, you get that torque figure way down low, which is going to make this feel much peppier than many motorcycles you've probably ridden. That being said, that horsepower figure sustained drops down to 27 horsepower. So not exactly huge power figures, but as an adventure bike, it's just about all you'd want or need, because you can lift the front tire up very easily on asphalt, and the bike will get right up to about 80 miles per hour where it's limited with very little effort. So if you're the type of fast boy who likes to go triple-digit figures, this just isn't going to be the motorcycle for you. And we're going to be getting back to that kind of topic of isn't the motorcycle for you a lot in this video, because a lot of people like to come into the comments of articles or videos and say, oh my gosh, what could they be thinking putting out a motorcycle like that with that sort of range? There's no way that's going to sell. That's going to be a huge flop. Do you think that these companies are run by people who are dumber than you? I guess, you think you're smarter than these international corporations that have existed for decades, that have put out hundreds of products? Do you think you're all of a sudden surprising them? I mean, don't get me wrong, companies make mistakes, but for Can-Am to come back into the two-wheeled universe with two products and choose to make them electric, sure, there's probably a degree of gamble there, but you have to know that it was a calculated gamble on their part and a calculated decision. So they're fully aware of the bike's limitations. They decided that there is a market for it, and perhaps it's a little bit more limited market, perhaps it's a market that they're hedging their bets that is going to grow, but ultimately they were willing to go through the R&D and through the production of these motorcycles in order to put them out on the market and sell them to people who want them. I feel like I keep the kickstand or something must be a little bit soft in its spring, because it sounds like it keeps dropping and then coming back up. So I encourage you, take a quick beat before you comment on the video, just to say, oh, that bike is dead on arrival to me. I need a motorcycle that can do 400 miles in a day. Yeah, that's the beauty of the motorcycle world, is that there are bikes for all of us. There are Goldwings and there are Groms, and they all exist for a certain type of rider. And the reason that I get worked up about this is because that in and of itself represents the beauty of the motorcycle market. Obviously, this is a predominantly automotive review channel, and I am seeing every year the automotive world getting shrunken and shaved and smoothed out to only have these big electric heavy, and I don't even mean like electric drive necessarily, but electronics driven four-wheel machines and cars that, yes, are very safe and are very easy to drive and are very practical, but are losing an individuality and a character and a soul. So that's what pushes me on two wheels, is that I come to motorcycles to feel something. I ride not only because riding itself is fun, but because the industry is fun. And a big part of that is its variety. So if there's somebody out there who doesn't do a lot of riding, their trips are fairly small, maybe they've never owned a motorcycle before, but maybe they've got a few bicycles, and this Can-Am Origin allows them to not only ride in and out of the office and look cool, but then on the weekend, maybe they live right down there or work right down there, and they can leave with a full charge, and they can go up and they can experience this peace and this beauty. It's 1 o'clock on a Monday right now, and there's nobody around me. It's calm, and it's quiet, and I feel pleasantly alone. That's motorcycling. There's such a beauty to that. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox. Let's talk about the bike. I'm getting used to it. I'm having fun. There's these little whoops on this trail, and I'm able to kind of hop over them and then let the bike cushion me on the way down. It's a very nice suspension. I mean, it does kind of have that heavier feel, similar to, again, in the car world, when an electric car is fast, you still feel the suspension having to put in overtime, masking all that weight. But it's fun. I'm having fun. I don't know how these big round mirrors are going to do if we end up dumping the bike. And that is another aspect. There is a lot of plastic on the side of this motorcycle, and no sort of crash bars or anything to protect it if it goes down. That being said, the front wheel has a nice caster angle to it, which means the bike is pretty darn stable. I'm not getting a feeling of it trying to wash out or wreck me or anything. Now, as I said, the bike does have regen, so as I release the accelerator, there is a small bit of kinetic energy going back into the battery through the rear wheel. And then I can rotate my right hand forward on the accelerator, and it actually provides more regen. There's sort of a passive regen and an active regen. And I'm happy to report that it does seem to be fairly intuitive here on dirt. I noticed situations riding on the street where, as you'd come to a stoplight or something and weight would come off the rear wheel, the regen was a bit unpredictable, but at these slower speeds, the dirt actually seems to be doing pretty well. Now, I am by no means a dirt master when it comes to two wheels. If you really want to see this bike put through its paces, you got to check out Ian over at Big Rock Moto. He's the only other independent reviewer I know of who's really put this bike through its paces off-road. So you can get more of his impressions. That being said, I don't know if his audience is exactly the target market for this bike. I'm sure there are some, don't get me wrong, but I like to think that some of you will stumble upon this video, kind of maybe being somebody, again, who hasn't ridden bikes, or it's been a while or something, you're a little bit more novice and curious, and you're gonna go, oh, that looks approachable, I'd like to try that. Quick shout out to video sponsor Arai. I'm wearing the new Arai Contour X right now. Fantastic all-day wear, protection, visibility, and comfort sort of helmet. However, for a ride like this, it'd be even better to be wearing their new XD5 model. It's sort of an adventure helmet, if you will. It can do street, or you can put a visor on it and kind of do more trail riding like this. A lot of functionality there. The only reason I didn't go with the XD5 is the place I mount up my camera wouldn't have worked on that helmet without acquiring a little bit of different mounting hardware. So I wanted to go with the Contour X. I've been really happy with it, but if you were going to be doing this sort of adventure riding daily, a little bit of dirt, slow speed, and then heading out and doing higher speed, the XD5 would be right up your alley. But check out Arai's helmets. They are some of the best. I'm happy to have worn them for my entire motorcycling career. The trail's getting rougher and it's bouncing me around a little bit again with these higher tire pressures, but it's not messing the bike up too much. I'm pretty happy with that. Pretty awesome view up here. Also scoping out some pretty darn cool campsite options as well. Look at this. I think we might turn around here, but that's quite the view. I've switched up into Off-Road Plus. Should I need all the power that the bike has to give, gotta be a little bit more careful with your right hand, of course. This does have that instant torque, but you never know when you're gonna hit a little section where you're gonna want all of it. That little bit of passive regen is nice for downhill sections like this. It just kind of helps keep the bike from rolling away from you too fast without having to use too much brake. And you can actually bump that up, which I'm going to try doing here. Let's move the passive regen to max. Okay, yeah, so now, even though I'm kind of on this steeper downhill section, no brakes, it's all just being fed back into the battery. That's nice. A little more of a loose sand playground area around here. Yeah, it's definitely fun. Definitely a good little character on the bike. Ground clearance is pretty darn good as well. Haven't had any issues with any of the bigger bumps or hills so far. Ah, the smell of pine. If you grow up somewhere with pine and then you move away, it hits you hard when it comes back. Whew. Man, some really sharp rocks. Really hoping we don't have any issues with that, knock on wood. Theoretically, as long as we stay filming, nothing bad will happen, right? It's only when you turn the camera off, catastrophe strikes. Oh man, the pull is so much more dramatic in Off-Road Plus. It feels like a proper dirt bike from the power perspective. And of course the way it can just put it down. We have made it up to the top of Bailey Canyon, and we ended up actually taking a little bit of the wrong way. We took a little bit longer on the trail than I initially planned, so we're at 19 miles. And since adventure bikes should be about adventuring, we're getting on the freeway. Not what I planned. We have about somewhere between 60 and 70% state of charge. However, I don't like going back the way that we came. I like doing something new, and I like exploring and adventuring and taking a different trail. So I'm gonna run the risk a little bit. We're up here around Silverwood Lake, is that right? I'm not looking at the map right here, but we're coming into the town of Crestline in about, I think, 5 miles or so, 5 or 6 miles. And theoretically, according to PlugShare, there is one singular level 2 charger up here that I could use to get a little bit of juice. I don't know for sure if I'm gonna need it. I think I'm gonna try it just in case, just to see kind of what like if it works, you know, if I wanted to kind of stop and I needed the juice, would I be able to get it? I think it's a good test. But there is another trail up this way that is 1 degree harder than the trail we just came up. But theoretically, if things go smoothly, I should be able to make it back to the van down this trail without needing any juice. We were up to 7 miles per kilowatt hour by the time we made it up here, and 39 miles of range or so. That should go up even more as we're going downhill. I actually should be able to even recuperate some range. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm keeping it a little chill on the speedometer right now, 57 miles per hour. But it is beautiful up here. Nice to have a little bit of adventure. And I have been riding for 1.3 hours already, so you know, so far it's turning into a full ride day for me. How I would love to just be opening the bike up and flying down this section right here, but I just should be more considerate of my limitations. Here we are, road getting twisty now, so we will get over here up into sport mode. And there we go. Still got full power, halfway through our state of charge. Woo! Got the front tire lifting up a little bit right there. Let's see a KLR 650 do that. All right, that is my first accident on a street bike. Whew, okay. Darn it, time to evaluate. Let's get to a safer spot here. Man, I've never had that happen. Okay. So, what do we got here? When the Can-Am Origin falls, where does it fall? right there, right there, and right there. You know, that's actually kind of nifty because this is all very replaceable. Right there. Okay, and right there. So I stand corrected. They seem to have engineered this such that a spill doesn't hit any of your valuable parts or your plastics. That's remarkable. Okay, how about me? How am I here? A little bit scraped up there. Alpine Star's gloves seem to be keeping us all right. I wonder what happened. I wonder if I must have laid it down and, I don't think I would have gotten to the edge of grip on my tire. Did I lay it down too hard into the peg and then that lifted the rear tire up? 'Cause yeah, you can see, well, I got all the way to the edge, that's for sure. All right, man. The other interesting aspect is I'm halfway through my ride. I gotta get this bike back down the mountain. I think we're all right though. Whew. Shout out to Doodle. Seems like I have fared better than she. Man. Also shout out to my, oh, there we go, yep. Shout out to my Revit gear. My Revit Adventure jacket might be due for a replacement here soon. Okay. Our handlebars are maybe slightly out of whack. Obviously this mirror, both mirrors got tweaked a little bit, but wow. I'm being completely genuine when I tell you all I'm actually pretty darn happy with how the bike handled that. Well, here we go. Ugh. Okay, so the brake lever, rear brake lever definitely tweaked a bit. But I think we're all right. Goodness gracious. Now that's unfortunate because I've ridden a lot of adventure bikes very aggressively, just like that. Had a V-Strom 650 for a number of years. Put some more aggressive tires on it, not too far off of what we're running here. And I've pushed some of the BMW, the F850 GS, and the bigger GS, the GS 1300. Pushed those really hard through some corners, definitely scraped some peg. I'm disappointed that we had that there. I don't think there was anything on the road that would have had us slide out like that. I mean, I guess it's possible. All right, well, onward and upward, I suppose. And take it a little easier through these corners. I'm going to take this opportunity following this big truck to talk on some of the street aspects of the Can-Am Origin, because I kind of suspect I won't be doing much riding once I get the bike back to home base. You've got this nice screen in front of you here. It's easy to see, it's not hard on your eyes, it's got a little bit of a night mode you can switch over to, darken things up. Gives you a lot of useful information. Right now you've been seeing me with my trip up, but you can cycle through, you can bring up media, you can pair your Bluetooth device as well as your Bluetooth comm unit on your helmet, and then cycle through your media from here. And you can also just kind of bring up this bigger gauge screen. Looks a little bit more conventional, showing you power meter as well as speed. Then you've also got vehicle settings and preferences you can play around with, as well as Apple CarPlay. Now, unfortunately, I don't have an Apple device. I will show you some B-roll here of what it looks like, messing around with it, but you can use Apple CarPlay on here. You can have your navigation, you got your music, and you can use, again, the bike's handlebar controls to cycle through that, or the touchscreen when you're stopped. It's really one of the better systems that I've used on a motorcycle. I remember when I had the BMW K1600, and I suppose the $1,300 as well. One of my complaints was that you're spending all this money on this motorcycle, and yet the technology suite's remarkably basic with what you're really able to do. So some people aren't going to like this big tacked-on tablet-looking screen right here in front of you, but from a functionality and usability standpoint, it's really quite good. Now, if you want to get a better impression on what the Origin would be like in sort of a daily rider commuter situation, check the link below for our DM commuter test. Do a standard route there, 43 miles of mixed kind of riding all around town and on the highway. The bike actually has a lot of merit in that sort of environment. It's nice and upright, it's comfortable, it's easy to navigate traffic situations and various type of roads. So I'm just going to do a little bit more of that, but check the link below. You can check out that video for more of those impressions. But aside from that tumble, I like riding the Origin around. I mean, I'm a little bit more hesitant now taking some of these corners, but all things considered, it's a good street bike as well. There's a lot of merit to that. Ooh, I might have to get my phone out here in a sec. What? Actually, this looks like the place here, mountain storage. Theoretically, we've got a charger in here. Now, I haven't seen a review on PlugShare since 2021. Let's see if it's still up. Not seeing it anywhere. Oh, no, that's a bell. And I have absolutely no cell signal here. So, unless we still have the info. Available during business hours. That's it. Alright. Oh, I think that might be the EV charger just inside the gate. But, nah, I don't need it. Here we are, back off the main road. Let's dial back into Off-Road Plus and see what this level 3 moderate trail has for us on the way back down. Seem totally fine with range, somewhere around 40%. I don't love that you can't get an actual percentage readout for your range here on the Origin. Maybe there's some sort of way to do it. It doesn't seem like it though. Usually everything I've been able to find is just a bar. So you kind of got to guess on that one. And obviously the range figure, the actual mileage figure, changes based on how you're riding. So there's a little bit of guesswork there. But either way, we made it to 8 miles per kilowatt hour after a little bit of that downhill street section. So I imagine we'll be up closer to 9 by the time we make it down to the van. It'll be interesting to see how this trail is, because it's kind of a neat little alternate to taking, what is this, 18 up to Crestline, Lake Arrowhead. Apparently it gets pretty narrow, so you're not allowed to be too in love with your paint if you're taking a 4x4 up here, but for a bike, it might end up being pretty good. Now, clearly some people are going to prefer to stand on their ADV bike, and you got to have a little bit of a crouch. It's not the highest handlebars in the world, but you can stand pretty comfortably. The pegs are wide. I've got some Alpine Stars Tech 5s on and comfortably standing up on the pegs, but yeah, there's definitely a decent bit of crouch. It's a pretty standard adventure bike. It's definitely more comfortable for sitting, and I have been sitting now for 2 hours, and still comfortable. I mean, it's a well-designed seat. Padding is good. I'm a little bit disappointed that there aren't any passenger pegs. Now, I'll have to look in to see if that's something that you can get on the Can-Am Origin at all, but it'd be disappointing to me if not, because if you're someone who's willing to buy this bike in the first place, you're probably somebody who doesn't do a lot of big rides. And there might be times when you want to throw a friend on the back, or a spouse, or maybe even an older child or something, and you want to go out for a little ride around the neighborhood, or go out and get ice cream, or ride to the coast, or something. I mean, it's just why limit us on a bike that clearly has the torque and clearly has the capabilities to bring a passenger Not gonna give us pegs back there and a seat? It's a little bit of a bummer. I might need to eat my words a little bit from earlier about the quietness of the bike. It is very peaceful to be able to just ride around like this, and haven't had earplugs in all day. I mean, obviously, if you're getting up toward 50 and above miles per hour, you're dealing with wind noise more than anything. But it's just been so nice to putz along, these type of trails and be seeing all there is to see, and just hearing that mild whir underneath me. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big engine and exhaust note sort of guy, but that's on my performance sort of machines. If I'm doing something more calm and adventure oriented, I'd rather not hear anything. I just want to be in nature. You all should know that Can-Am reached out to me and asked me to review one of their electric motorcycles. And originally I said no. Initially I had seen initial reviews on them, I had seen the specs and the price. And I said, that's so far off of the type of adventure bike that I would ride, I don't want to do it. I don't want to review it. But I decided to give this one a shot, the Origin. And I've got to be totally honest with you that I do think it's a great bike for a certain sort of rider and a certain sort of buyer. I mean, you got to remember, there are adventure bikes that cost a lot more than this $15,000, roughly, if you're not getting the 73 package, which I think is kind of silly to get. If you're just getting the base bike, it's about a $15,000 motorcycle. There are plenty of motorcycles that have this sort of riding experience and seating position and the knobbies and everything, kind of adventure bikes that cost way more than this. So there are clearly buyers for expensive ADV bikes. And then you look at the cost of electric motorcycles and the fact that, yeah, for having the knobby tires and kind of the off-road capabilities of this bike, it's really not that far out of line with any of the other electric bike offerings out there. And yeah, electric motorcycles aren't doing great, but there are some buyers. So it's clear that there is at least some sort of market. And if you're a rider, I'm sure you know somebody who has a motorcycle and doesn't use it that often, and when they do, it's just for short little rides. So there are clearly buyers that will fit the niche in the Venn diagram for this bike. And I've got to tell you, over the last 2.2 hours, what would that be, about 2 hours and 12 minutes, two and a quarter hours riding this bike, I've had a fantastic time. I haven't been limited by its capabilities necessarily. Now, I'm not an amazing dirt rider, so maybe if I were a little bit more skilled, then I would be wanting for something that's a little bit more capable. But for somebody who's kind of moderate novice like me, works really well. And I also haven't been limited by the range. I am honestly more limited by my schedule than I am by the electric range on this motorcycle. So I'm gonna have to get back to the truck here and load it up so that I can get home and continue on with my day and get back to my family. So as much as I would love to go out and do big, long, multi-day rides, realistically, I just can't. I can't fit the time for that very often in this stage of my life. So a bike that I could hop onto and know is at 100% state of charge, 60 miles of range or so, ready to go for me as soon as I head out, there's an appeal to that. The other thing to remember is a lot of people run multi-bike households. So you could have something like this Origin, and then you could also have a Goldwing. So if you're gonna do multi-day rides and you're gonna pack on gear, then you take the touring bike. But if you're gonna go and you're gonna do some exploring nearby where you live, or maybe take the truck, take the bike out there and then do some exploring from there, that's where you've got the Origin. So don't get me wrong, I'm not ignorant to the downsides. I'm not ignorant to the fact that it tops out at 80 miles per hour. And I'm not ignorant to the fact that if you hop on the highway and cruise at 70 miles per hour, you're gonna be lucky to get 45 miles of range out of this. And I'm not ignorant to the fact that when you do want to charge it up, even with its faster liquid cooling and level 2 charging speeds, you're going to be taking about an hour to go from roughly 20% to roughly 80 or 90%. If you need to go from a nearly dead battery to a totally full one, you're probably looking at closer to 1.5 or 2 hours before you can continue. And to me, I don't really mind those charge speeds. What bothers me a little bit more is the fact that, at least here in America, our charging infrastructure is so limited, especially in the areas that you'd want to ride to, that it's not like today I could have just stopped and grabbed a bite to eat and let my bike charge up a little bit. There were no chargers up there on the mountain. Sure, there are plenty of chargers down here by the freeway, but I don't want to ride my adventure bike by the freeway. I want to go do adventuring out in the twisties, in the woods. So there are very clear disadvantages to electric motorcycles and, by extension, this Can-Am Origin. However, I can still see the appeal. I can still see the use case, and I see Can-Am getting themselves back into this game in order to be competitive in a market that is only going to grow. I don't expect motorcycles to go all electric by any means. I don't even expect them to be majority electric anytime in the next few decades. I mean, we're talking about a market that still supports bikes like the DRZ and the XR650. So, motorcycles don't have to grow and change and adapt as quickly as automobiles. So we're going to have gas bikes for a long time, and I'm very thankful for that. But as battery density increases and battery costs decreases and demand increases, Can-Am is setting themselves up to have a fantastic motorcycle that just needs to get a little bit cheaper and a little bit more power capable. That's it. Other than that, this is a fun little bike. It's a great bike to ride. It really is. Not to mention, if you're a rider who's not super comfortable with navigating with a clutch and shifting, electric, man. It's all a twist of the wrist. And one last thing I should mention, if loading and unloading a bike is something that you do regularly, especially to a hitch carrier like this, having reverse, as this bike does, makes it very easy to get off the carrier. So definitely a lot of perks. You just literally go, and then look at that. It's going backward, although, oh, we're on a bit of a dramatic hill here. There we go. It's just a little bit of backward help, like walk speed. Just needs a parking brake. I gotta ask Can-Am about that. Is it gonna fall? No, I think we're good. Oh, and I didn't even mention yet, it's got a little storage compartment as well. So you can pop this open, keep your phone. It's got a little USB port in there, keep your documentation. It's a nifty bike. It really is. And I can't wait to watch it grow and mature. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the Origin, check the link below for our DM commuter ride, our little night ride as well. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, ride on.